Hi, I'm Robert Chalide, and welcome to Straight Talk. We've got a great show for you this month. We have three of our special officers on here today. Officer Bob Van Dyke. Bob, welcome
Chief,
to the show.
thank you.
Officer Jim Malcheski, welcome
Chief,
to the show.
thank you.
Lieutenant Scott Trumbull. Lieutenant, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chief.
Guys, I have you all on here for three different multiple reasons. Starting with you, Bob, you've won the Mothers Against Drunk Driving Award now 6 times in a row, okay? What are you doing out here on our streets every night? You're making a lot of arrests, getting a lot of drunks off the streets and everything like that. Talk to us a little bit about what you strive for every night when you go on patrol.
Well, like I've explained to other people, I'm a patrolman like anybody else that's out on the road. I'm still responsible for calls for service that would come into the department, accidents, fights, things like that. And then when I do have some time in between calls, I like to run traffic. And doing traffic stops, that's when you come across either the drunk drivers or somebody that's suspended or they have warrants out for them. So I try to do traffic on a whole to keep the roads safe and to come across drunk drivers and the other things I mentioned.
How many drunk driving arrests did you make last year?
Last year, I believe it was like 55.
55, okay. And then do you know what the highest number you've ever made in your tenure?
That last year was
55.
Was it? Yes.
Yep. And the Mothers Against Drunk Driving, they recognized you with an award of excellence. Congratulations on that.
Thank
something
you.
for you to be proud of, something I'm proud of for you, and
I
the department is
am.
proud of you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Jim, let's move over to you. You're one of our school resource officers. You're our only school resource officer. How many schools are you handling right now?
13 schools in Shelby Township.
13 schools. Where do you spend most of your time?
I try to move around to all of them. All of them are pretty much equal, except Utica High has furnished me with a place that I can kind of set my hat down.
Okay. So you spend a little bit more time over there?
Probably.
Okay. What about the elementary schools? Probably not a lot of involvement over there at elementary schools, right?
Not as much, no.
Okay. And what about the junior high?
The junior highs, they do require quite a bit of our time as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you doing anything else besides school resource officer work? Are you?
Yes, I'm also assigned cases in the Detective Bureau, so I do on the average of 180, 200 cases a year, as well as the school.
You're a
schools.
busy guy then, huh?
Yes.
Okay, we'll
Yes.
come back to you in a moment. Lieutenant Trumbull, we'd like
morning.
to tell the residents about your duties and responsibilities. I know you have an extensive list and you're trying to pass some of them off as you get close to retirement.
I am trying to shorten the list, yes. But right now, I'm in charge of a night shift platoon. We have 4 platoons in the department. A platoon is basically a shift. And on the shift, we'll have anywhere from 8 to 10 officers, 2 sergeants, and we have 3 dispatchers. That's my job. It involves approving reports, scheduling. I'll take citizen complaints. Luckily, there's not too many of those. I help with the front desk, watch prisoners. That takes up the most of my time. But I'm also in charge of the Field Training Bureau. I command a group of people that are responsible for training new hires as they integrate into the department. I'm in charge of the K-9 unit. I'm also in charge of the department's property room. We have about 6,000 articles of property in that room. It's cavernous. I'm trying to reduce that too. I'm in charge of the prescription drop-off program, and I also am the command officer's the union president.
Is there anything you're not in charge of over there?
No.
Okay, you mentioned K-9 Commander.
Yeah.
You had a K-9 yourself back when you were a young officer.
Rex, yeah.
Rex was your dog,
Yep.
and did great service to our community. Now, we have a little issue right now with one of our new handlers who's down in Pennsylvania being trained.
Yes.
You want to tell the residents about what's going on with the new dog and give them some information on that?
Sure. When we went down to Sharpsville, Pennsylvania, we had 2 finalist dogs. One was a Belgian Malinois named Argo. Belgian Malinois look exactly like Shepherds, but there's some subtle differences that people in the know can detect. So we had a finalist of Argo, the Malinois, and Nick, and he was a Shepherd. He looked a lot like Henry. Nick is kind of younger. We thought he was 13 months, but we now think he was a little bit younger than that. But they both performed excellent. They're passive alert dogs where they sit down when they indicate on odor, and they both did a phenomenal job. So we had a hard time picking between the two dogs, Chief. And ultimately, Justin Goebel, our newest canine handler, he picked Argo, and myself and Officer Wojcik, agreed that was a good choice, and that was our dog. So when Officer Goebel went to Sharpsville to begin training with Argo, as the weeks progressed, there were some training difficulties. It takes a really good connection, to be a successful team, a canine team. It is a team. The handler doesn't make the team successful. The dog doesn't do it. It's together. You have to have the right relationship. And as the weeks unfolded, it became obvious that Argo and Officer Goebel didn't have that right something, that they were successful together with. For example, if they did obedience work and Officer Goebel had Argo on the leash, Argo had a tendency to look back at him almost submissively, and he wanted to kind of turn over. Well, we don't want a police dog to do that. We need a police dog to be a confident, strong animal. And the yellow flags start going up. The master trainer down there, Jeremy, he was noticing this too, and we decided to make a switch. So Argo is no longer our police dog. We switched back to Nick, and Officer Goebel is now training with Nick, and I just talked to him last night, and they're doing really well.
I'm glad to hear that. Now, did you speak with the master trainer also, or just
Yes.
with our hand? Okay, so everything's going good.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
he said that now Officer Goebel has been kind of handling both dogs for
Okay.
a couple weeks, and that's when we were trying to figure out, is it Officer Goebel that's the problem?
Yeah.
It's not. He's
Right, of
doing
course.
great. Once he started working exclusively with Nick, they really started progressing, and they started doing bite work training a couple days ago.
Okay.
So they're doing really good.
Thank you for the update. And I know we have not announced this out to our Facebook community yet. They think Argo is still our dog.
Right.
So we're going to have to get that out there. I know Leslie's been out of the office for the last few days. And just let them know about the little minor change and move forward. And we appreciate your leadership on this, by the way. Thank you.
Thanks.
Jim, moving over to you. Can you discuss a little bit with the residents and panel, why is it so important for you as a school resource officer to have a great rapport with the teachers and administrators over at the schools that you're working with on a daily basis?
There's many different reasons, but for example, if there's a child or a student that's reported as missing, and if the report comes in at 10 o'clock and we can ping a phone, see where they were last located or see where their phone was last used at, I'll go to that location. But then all the time I'll be calling back certain teachers or certain administration, and I'll say, hey, who does this particular student hang out with? Who is known as their best friend, their girlfriend, or their boyfriend? And all the time I'm driving looking for this student or this person that was reported as missing. I'm on the phone, I'm finding other phone numbers, and we've had a great success rate just from the rapport that we have with all the schools. I can call, we have 13 schools. I have at least 2 or 3 contacts at every school that I can call at any time. And I'll tell you, the teachers and administration in all the schools are so helpful to the police department, and they're so happy that we're calling on them for assistance, and they feel free to call on us for assistance. And I get calls on the weekends and the evenings, and also rapport with the students is good too, because a lot of students will contact me in the schools and say, hey, this particular kid is having a substance abuse issue. I hang with this kid all the time. I don't want to come forward. I don't want this person to know that I told on them. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want them to get in trouble. So it's almost like we get a jump on maybe a crime that may be committed or a student that's going down the wrong path. And when we can get the jump on that, and I can bring this kid in, or I do a lot of home visits, and I'll meet with their parents, I'll meet with the student. I've seen a lot of success, and I've seen these kids turn around, and we've had a lot of positive feedback from the schools, from the parents would contact the school and say, hey, the police department really turned my kid around. And I think it's been a really positive situation, having such a great rapport with the teachers, the faculty, and the students at the schools. They feel very comfortable to come to us.
Most people probably don't understand, I bet you a lot of police officers don't understand that you're dealing with a huge gray area when you're dealing with those kids over there when it
Yes.
comes to the letter of the law. Okay, I mean, you're in the school for a reason. We want you to take care of 95%, maybe even 99% of the problems that come up, or the different accusations or whatever. And you're right there on the front lines, take care of this stuff, and making our jobs a lot easier back at the police department. Some of the reports that actually make it through at the different departments that I've worked at actually make it through to the front desk or to the shift commander that come out of the schools, I'm baffled at. You know what I mean? And I don't see that here in Shelby Township. I saw that in some other departments I worked at, stuff that should be handled by the school officers, so I want to commend you. Also, not only do you have contacts at those schools? But I have many principals and teachers have reached out to me about your benefit over there and how much tremendous aid you have given the teachers and principals over there by your actions. So I want to commend you also for your great job you're doing over there. Thank you very much. Bob, real recently there was an article in the local paper about you.
Yes.
I think it was in the CNG News.
Yes.
And it spotlighted you and your achievements here. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
I was very happy for you and Debbie, your wife of 20 years, is it?
It's going to be 25.
25,
next year, yeah.
okay, 25 years.
Yes.
And Debbie's a great person. She makes homemade chocolate for us at Christmas time. I'm looking forward to it this
I'm
year.
sure these
She
guys.
does? I don't remember getting any of that.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
come
she
on.
does. Yes, absolutely, she does.
You got to tell her to go to the other shift.
I want to congratulate you for the beautiful article that Sarah Wojcik wrote on you.
Yeah, it was great.
Very
Yes.
nice. And
Yes.
let's move on specifically. I want to talk a little bit more about the drunk driving arrest, okay?
Okay.
I can only imagine, I myself never was a big drunk driving arrest guy. I just never had the opportunity, if that makes any sense. Always busy doing different things, if that makes any sense. And it takes, to me, a very skilled officer, a dedicated officer, committed officer, because the amount of paperwork you have to handle per arrest is tremendous. So for instance, from the time that you put the lights on somebody to pull somebody over, okay, by the time you actually walk back out to your police car when it's all done, what do you estimate on average it takes you to get everything done? It has to be done on this.
It's usually, I've got down to about 2.5 hours.
Okay.
And that's if there's, as I say, that there's no problems. The person I've placed under arrest is very cooperative, and I can get through all the procedures, and there's no roadblocks that come up. It's about 2.5 hours.
Okay.
But if there's anything else going on, that either they want a blood draw or there's some other issues going on that would have to take them to the hospital or something like that, then you're stretching that out to about 3 or 4 hours that I could be tied up with one arrest.
And you're as close to an expert as we has on making these OWI arrests. Let me jump to Lieutenant Trummo real quick. Another officer who maybe makes 5 or 6 drunk driving arrests a year. How long is he taking from the time he makes a traffic stop till he's clear?
Longer than Bob.
Yeah.
It would probably be 3 hours, maybe sometimes 3.5 hours. If they have to go to the hospital and get a blood search warrant, it can easily push up the time to 4 hours, 4.5 hours sometimes.
Okay. So, I mean, what a lot of residents don't understand is that a lot of officers don't want to be tied up for 3-4 hours. And then some of them are unsure of the paperwork, etc. And you've defeated all those challenges. You have no problem with, no matter what it takes, you're going to get this job done. And then another thing people don't realize is a lot of these drunks are very combative, use foul language against the officers and our staff, and spitting and everything. I mean, you probably see this regularly.
Oh, absolutely. And I learned early on that when we have a subject that's like that they're not attacking me personally. They're attacking, for lack of better terms, they're attacking the uniform. They're attacking the situation, that they don't know me personally, so I don't take it personally. And I've thought that for a very long time.
And we try to do a good job by keeping everything videotaped for you, right? We
Absolutely.
We have the cars, and then when you come to the station, we have the video capture. So we use a lot of this stuff against them at later hearings, correct?
Correct. I've had shift commanders tell me before that whenever they've had somebody come in to complain about the way I've treated them, they pull the tapes and they show them the tapes, and they explain to them, show me where my officer did what you say he did. And it always takes the wind out of their sails because everything's taped and it shows that I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. The drinking and driving, how prevalent is it out here? I mean, if there was more Bob Van Dykes, officers like you, would they all be making the same amount of arrests or close to your number? Are we missing a lot of these drunk drivers out there, or are we rounding up, doing a good job of rounding them up?
I think we're doing a good job. I commend my fellow officers. They're out there doing traffic stops too, and they are getting drunk driving arrests as well. I think people just fail to realize that they only have a couple of drinks and it does impair their judgment. And it is very prevalent. I'm actually surprised sometimes how many people I stop that they're under the legal limit, but they're still drinking and driving. And it's more prevalent than a lot of people think it is.
Okay. Bottom line is, to be safe, no one should be drinking and driving at all. I don't care if it's past 1.
Correct.
That's kind of my rule. 1 and I'm done.
Yep.
You agree with that?
I totally agree with that. If they're going to go out and meet some friends at the bar, They should have a plan of how they're going to get home. Either they're going to call a cab, call Uber. There's so many ways that they can get home safely from the bar. They can call call their spouse, call a friend, just to get them home from the bar, and they can go and pick up their car later.
Yes.
It's very easy.
Yes, thank you for putting that out there. Jimmy, let's jump to you. We had a situation back at school, I think it was in June, where some kids let off some smoke bombs in the cafeteria up at
Mellow.
At Mellow, correct?
Yes.
And then not only that, but they killed all the lights at the same time. The smoke bombs were I know that somebody was hospitalized because of smoke inhalation. The response was fantastic. I know you were there immediately. The shift was there immediately. Are we prepared to handle any type of significant activity at a school or any type of criminal action up at a school? Is this department prepared?
That's a great question, and I can say we are definitely prepared, in my opinion. That's a prime example. Those smoke bombs went off. Some of the students stood in front of the light switch so the teachers couldn't turn on the light. Some of the students that were part of this kind of blocked the door. I mean, it was a premeditated, planned out, well orchestrated thing, but we were there within a short period of time. We diffused it. We got everybody out of the school. We evacuated everybody. Our guys did a fantastic job. In that, on top of, you had sent everybody in the department to barricade it, or
Active shooter training.
the active shooter training, and I think that helps immensely because it was held in a school. You sent every one of your guys to it, and we know that if something does go down, we've been trained, and it was an extensive training, and I think we all took a lot away from that training, and my comfort level is very high. If anything goes down, I feel we're very prepared to handle anything that goes on in the schools.
It's interesting you bring up the active shooter training. I had a discussion with Acting Deputy Chief Schmittler this morning. We've had 8 new hires that are on the staff right now since we did that training. So I asked him, I said, do we need to run them through a class? Do we should get a new class, contact tactical encounters, and run our 8 people through there? And he said, absolutely. So he's looking into it right now. We're trying to be cost conscious, obviously. And what I might even do is take volunteers to fill the class up. If anybody else wants to go through it a second time, you're more than welcome on top of the 8 people that we have on staff. I think that was very important. I've done a lot of reading and research on the school situation and the school shootings, et cetera. When I came on the job almost 30 years ago in Detroit, they taught us don't be a hero. Okay, have you guys heard that before for our profession?
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't be a hero. Well, I read this great viewpoint one time, just recently, and it said, look, not only do we want you to be a hero, but we want to train our guys to be heroes. Okay, so it's one of the things we're doing right now back at the police department is there's a patrol rifle, an AR-15 in every marked vehicle that we have ready to go. If you run out to the car for any reason, you don't have to lug a weapon back and forth. It's there for you. Now, step 2 is we're putting a patrol rifle, AR-15 in every unmarked vehicle that we have, bolted down in the trunk. It's either going to be in a vault, a gun vault, or mounted down, whatever the detective wants. Ronnie Mix is working on that right now, and so is some of our other staff. So bottom line is, a detective tooling around during the day is just as likely to respond. Jim, you'll tell them just like respond as a patrol officer will. Well, I got news for you. The chief of police, the deputy chief, anybody is likely to respond if we hear something like that. We're still cops all at heart, okay? I mean, I wear my badge proudly, okay? I'm an administrator, don't get me wrong. And Scott, you're a shift commander, but I still am a police officer before I'm anything. I mean, people ask me all the time, are you a police officer? Yes, I am. I mean, I happen to be the chief of police, but I'm a police officer. And I want all our guys to be able to respond with these shooting situations. The studies have all showed that every single second counts. Every single second can be a life. We don't have the luxury of waiting for backup anymore in a community like this, okay? And we hear those shots going, and whatever, that AR-15, that sound is very distinctive. Guess what? We've given you a weapon to combat that, okay? We're not sending you in with a little pea shooter anymore, and you're not running in with a handgun to go take on somebody with a big high-powered weapon. We're giving you the tools that you need to go in there and confront. I'm going to tell you guys something interesting that was posed to me back when I was acting deputy chief at Southfield by one of the senior commanders at Southfield. We got kind of a little bit of debate about officers waiting for backup, et cetera. And one of the questions he asked me is, would I rather bury one of my officers or a kid at school? And I knew what he thought I was going to say, or what he, I knew my answer was a no-brainer, okay? God forbid we ever have to bury one of our officers, but our children and our residents come first. That's the bottom line. We took an oath. Are you guys all in agreement with that or not?
Oh, yeah.
So I
Absolutely,
couldn't believe that this guy was actually asking me this question. And, like assuming them to say, no, I don't want to bury an officer. But I don't have that attitude. If we have to bury an officer, one of our officers engaged in heroic action in defending our residents, our children. I mean, what's more precious in our community than our children and our defenseless elderly? Okay, those are the two groups of people that I watch out for. Anybody want to jump in and give some thoughts on that? Scott, why don't you jump in on that?
And well, you just said it. I mean, we take the oath. We're here to protect service and professionalism and courtesy. As much as that's our core values, just the protection of the public is our number one. We want to protect people. We want to protect the good people from the bad people.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think everyone that works in our department is proud to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and I agree with you totally.
I can tell you, if one of the school administrators call me, hey, Jim, we have a suspicious vehicle out front, right away I'll get on the horn with the guys. I'll call a couple of the road guys, or I'll just call dispatch directly. But I can tell you, these guys will a lot of times beat me there. I mean, they are eager to go and do the right thing. They are eager to go and protect our schools, and I'm proud to be part of that whole equation. Our guys don't hesitate at all.
Scott, let's jump in to some exciting news for you.
Okay.
You're retiring in August.
That is exciting.
After 23 years of service, you were able to buy 2 years of education time, correct? Or no, military time, right?
I did choose the education time. I had a
Okay.
bachelor's degree, and back in 1994, we were allowed in a contract to do that.
Okay.
But I don't think we're allowed to do that now.
Yeah. Okay, so you're leaving after 23 years of service,
Right.
and you have some exciting news. You've packing up and moving to California, correct?
That's right. I'm relocating to the great sunny state of California.
Okay.
I want to see palm trees and swimming pools and oceans for the rest of my life.
Not only are you relocating, but you've already sold your house.
That's correct.
You bought
My-
a new. Go ahead.
Oh, my family is actually already there. I moved my wife and children to California about 4 months ago, and they're already acclimating to their new lifestyle.
What part of California are they in?
It's in a town called Murrieta, California. It's about an hour north of San Diego,
Okay.
and they're in the school district already. And every once in a while on a weekend, they get to go to the beach or Wet and Wild, or if they want to go to Hollywood. I mean, it's like they're on vacation every day.
Now you bought that house sight unseen, correct? You had a
Yeah.
walk
Yeah.
through on some kind of app on your phone or something.
Yeah, I actually had to do house viewings on a app called Skype
Okay.
because it didn't make economic sense to fly out to California and actually view a house, because when you put a bid on a house out there, the real estate market's crazy.
Okay.
Just because you bid on a house doesn't mean you're going to get it. There's probably 6, 7, 10 other bids on that house too, and you usually got to pay over what the asking price is. So you can't fly out there, and you have to use this Skype app if you're out of state like I was, and do the walkthrough with the agent, and hope the agent's looking out for you, and that the house doesn't smell like animals, or there's not termites running around,
And it
So
worked for you, correct?
It did. Yeah,
Okay.
we have a great house.
All right, and then tell us what you did in the backyard.
I put a pool in.
Okay.
At first I wanted like the nice house with the pool, but every single time I bid on one of those houses, I kept losing them. So me and my wife talked about it, and we're like, why don't we just find a house maybe without a pool, pay a little bit less money, and but then we can make the one that we want, And the pools out there are incredible. They're not like just a hole in the ground. I mean, they got grottos and waterfalls and 8-person hot tubs that are used all year long, and it's pretty cool.
And I heard you bought the mother of all pools.
I
Is
did.
what I've heard. Well, I hope Stacy will be able to put a picture up while we're talking about this. Can you get Stacy?
Yeah,
you
I can
wanna
hook
do
I can
that?
hook Stacy up with a picture. Yeah, it's
Okay.
I'm pretty happy about it. I haven't put the landscaping in yet. I got 6 palm trees that are going to be delivered November 2nd. I'm really excited about that.
Okay.
My wife jokes, she's like, "You're more excited about the pool and the palm trees than you are about us."
Scott,
We say that tongue in cheek.
I wish you the best in retirement. I know that
Thanks.
you're going to thrive.
Thank you.
But I have to ask you a question, okay?
Sure.
What's going to be like when you wear that uniform for the last time and
It's-
you walk out? You walk out of a department that you basically grew up in, a department that
Yeah.
you mean so much to our department, Scott. I've told you many times we will never be the same after you leave.
That's nice of you to say.
What it's going to mean when you put the uniform on for the last time?
I think it's going to be bittersweet. When I first hired on in '94, 23 Mile was a 2-lane road. If you had to call dispatch to ask them what they wanted for dinner, you had to call 911 on a payphone. There were no such thing as cell phones. In fact, there was a car phone in a sergeant car, and you had to dial this $5 a minute phone from the sergeant car. There was no internet. And when I look back, 23 years ago and think about it, I'm like, yeah, the world has changed so much. And I grew up here. I went to school at Eisenhower. I went to Shelby Junior High. Before I went to MSU, I spent my whole life here. So when I was able to get a job here that long ago, I felt privileged that I was able to work in the community that I grew up in. It really felt near to my heart. So when I go, I'm saying not only goodbye to like the community, but all my friendships and relationships and my colleagues, and that's the bittersweet part. I'm happy to be retired and then go to a different part of my life, and I won't be retired. I'll find something else to do out there, but it's the people you work with, the good times and the relationships and the atmosphere and the practical jokes that we play on each other from time to time, and I'm going to miss the camaraderie, So I just hope that when my peers have a chance to go out west, they come by and visit me, and I can treat them out there. So I look forward to that.
Scott, you can assure yourself of one thing: I'm going to swim in that pool one day. Congratulations on
Thank
your
you.
pending retirement.
I haven't even swam in it yet. I'm going to go out there this Friday, and I don't care if it's 50 degrees out there. I'm going in that pool.
Congratulations on your pending retirement. Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
your relocation. Gentlemen, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. Until next month, you've been watching Straight Talk with Robert Schlide. Thank you.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today I'm just an aluminum can, but one day I could be a stadium.